James Gunn has done it again. James Gunn is a magical wizard in knowing how to make unknown and obscure characters go through character growths, character builds. They will go through trials and tribulations so that when you finally see these said characters reach the climax of their own story, you will actually shed a tear. You will actually be crying. As a grown man myself, I actually caught myself shedding a tear in this episode. I was shedding multiple tears in this episode because of what happened to my favorite character so far in this series. And it's crazy to think that we are just in the 3rd episode and James Gunn somehow delivered a heartwarming and a heart-wrenching backstory for one said character, because we've seen James Gunn do this time and time again with the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise, then when he now came over to DC with the Suicide Squad franchise, with the Peacemaker story as well. So we are actually known to James Gunn being so good with these unknown characters and making you feel for them, making you care about them, making you feel as if you are on their side and making you root for them. So when you see their end, you cannot feel satisfied in knowing that, yep, I was on their team. I was the person that was helping them, that was supporting them throughout the entire show. But you have to also realize that you're basically talking to a screen. You're just talking to the TV, man. You're kind of going crazy. But that's how James Gunn, he makes these characters make you go crazy, make you feel something. That's what is important in a TV show and a movie. The director and the writers of any project or movie, they have to make the audience feel something, and I felt something this episode. But let me stop rambling and let me tell you why I felt like crying, why I almost shed a tear in this episode, and that pertains to G.I. Robot, because the episode starts off where episode 2 left off, and that is Lady Frankenstein. She is trapped. Nina Mazursky is also trapped as well because of their encounter with Cersei. So when the creature commandos now actually reach the location, they see Lady Frankenstein. She's actually trapped with the chains that the sons of Themyscira now put around her. So when Lady Frankenstein is freed, G.I. Robot, he actually asks the whole team, wait, where is Nina? Where is my friend Nina? So he now actually goes on his own to find Nina, and she's upstairs trapped in a bathtub because remember, in the last episode, they shot Nina's dome. They shot her headgear that protects her oxygen because remember, she is not a human, she's a mutant. So she actually mostly relies on breathing and surviving with water around her whole head. So since that was completely destroyed, she is having to be in this bathtub to survive. So we see that G.I. Robot and Nina Mazursky's friendship / possible relationship is starting to bloom because we're starting to see that G.I. Robot actually really cares about Nina Mazursky, and I like that a lot in my honest opinion. So when G.I. Robot now grabs the bathtub, then he now actually brings her back to the team, and the team were actually about to leave because they realized something that, oh shit, Cersei did this on purpose. This bitch Cersei, she actually wanted the whole team to come to this location so that she can have the princess, soon to be Queen Alana, to herself. And before they even pulled off to go to the location that Princess Alana is at, Rick Flag Sr., and he now asked Lady Frankenstein, what the fuck were you even doing here in the first place? Why were you here in the first place? I thought I was recruiting monsters, not damsel in distress. So I actually understood that because, yo, you should have just stayed at the location. If Lady Frankenstein would have just stayed at the location, Cersei would have not seen an opening just to get Princess Alana by herself. So they now actually reach back to the place, but before they reach back, this is where this episode makes me feel sad and makes me feel for the character G.I. Robot, because we see the backstory of G.I. Robot, and not only did we see that, we also were gifted the presence of Sergeant Rock and his whole team. And when I saw Sergeant Rock and his team, I was like, yo, James Gunn, he's cooking, because Sergeant Rock, he's about to actually have his own project. I think he's about to have his own TV show or his own movie, I forgot, but this actually is good for setting up Sergeant Rock in the DCU. So we see a little cameo of Sergeant Rock and G.I. Robot. And I really like this scene with G.I. Robot, Sergeant Rock, and the Easy Company, because when they were bombarded by Nazis, they were basically cornered from the north, south, east, and west. So they all thought that all hope was lost, but G.I. Robot, he is so strong that he can basically extract himself from the ground and basically reach tall heights. But then he now spins around with his guns and starts spinning around shooting everybody. So this causes Sergeant Rock and the Easy Company to have to take cover, because G.I. Robot, he is basically slaughtering every single Nazi in sight. And this actually plays into G.I. Robot's character of just wanting to shoot Nazis, because his derivative is to kill Nazis. That's his whole entire life. That's his whole entire programming, is to kill Nazis. So when this happens, we actually see Sergeant Rock and the Easy Company finally embrace G.I. Robot as one of their boys. And they now all cheer with the Tin Man. They now all basically celebrate with G.I. Robot at this bar. And I really liked when they said this: cheers to the Tin Man, cheers to the Tin Man. And it was basically heartwarming. So throughout this episode, we will be seeing flashback cuts to G.I. Robot's backstory. But let's go back to the present, because in the present, we are seeing that the Creature Commandos, they arrive finally to Ilana's palace, but it's being completely overflowed by Cersei's guards, Cersei's soldiers, and they are now going to war with Ilana's soldiers. And this scene was kind of odd, because James Gunn, he's kind of a horny man when he does these scenes. But let me just tell you what I'm talking about, because Ilana, in the last 2 episodes, she proved to be a ditty by, in my honest opinion, forcing herself onto Rick Flag Sr. And she was trying Rick Flag Sr. a lot in the last 2 episodes. So is it a little bit poetic that the Diddy met a new Diddy? Is that a little bit poetic, James Gunn? I don't really know. And by me saying this is because when Ilana, she was about to be brought to safety by one of her guards, her guard basically got killed in front of her, and the person that killed her, they were now chasing Ilana. So then when they kind of lost Ilana, they now told another guard, yo, she's going to the west wing or the east wing. And when that happened, we now see the new Diddy. And this new Diddy is this big, tall, black dude. And he now grabs Ilana. Then he now picks her up over his shoulder. Then he now smacks her ass. I'm like, bro, what are you doing, bro? And he now basically is telling these people that, bro, I know we're supposed to kill Ilana, but aren't we supposed to have a little fun first? Are we supposed to have a little bit of a fun time? When I saw that, I'm like, yo, did James Gunn really just do Diddy meets Diddy? And that is crazy, because he actually almost became a real Diddy to her if she did not scratch his eyes and actually escaped. And this whole time, they were chasing her. They were wanting to grab her, because Cersei wants her dead, but they want her alive before death. What does that mean, man? These dudes are Diddy, in my honest opinion. So it was actually satisfying seeing, I guess you could call her the old Diddy, Princess Ilana, kill them, because when she now runs into the room, they actually have her covered. So Ilana now actually grabs a gun and shoots one of them. Then the last person, the new Diddy, now comes to try to grab her, but she now shoots him at his chest and he now dies. But that is not before Cersei comes up right behind Ilana and now basically does a beam that explodes Ilana's location. But we now go back in time to see another backstory of G.I. Robot, and we now see that G.I. Robot, he is now deemed as a war hero because he helped to stop that Nazi bombardment in that location. So now he is basically on talk shows with people, and this is the 1940s. So when this happens, we now see that G.I. Robot, he has no social awareness. He is just on a derivative on killing Nazis. That's his entire programming, and even his generals and his colleagues are like, yo, maybe he's not actually suited to be on talk shows right now because his entire personality is about killing Nazis. And later on in the 1940s, we now see that G.I. Robot meets a DC character that I'm surprised James Gunn introduced, and I hope James Gunn brings him back and does not keep him in the 1940s, and that is William Magnus. And it actually is very cool to see that William Magnus, he is using G.I. Robot's entire schematics, just using G.I. Robot as a base, as a platform basically to create the next generation of artificial intelligence robots. And who are these robots? He is trying to create the Metal Men. So I hope we see the Metal Men and William Magnus return in a more prominent role, because this is a good world building setup that James Gunn did for these characters. But over the years, throughout the years after G.I. Robot's time with William Magnus, we're seeing that throughout the 60s and the 90s, G.I. Robot was being shipped from location to location, from place to place, and usually they're just using him for like souvenirs, they're just using him for statues, and he's not really being used until he is bought by a man called Sam Fitzgibbon. And Sam Fitzgibbon, at first I thought he was a nice guy. Sam Fitzgibbon was a very cool guy, you know. He bought G.I. Robot, he brought him to his house. We see that Sam Fitzgibbon does not have any wife, no kids, he just has cats, and all the cats seem to like G.I. Robot. Sam Fitzgibbon seems to be a good friend. He seems to be a very caring person that really likes and respects G.I. Robot. So when in a couple of days they now go out to meet some of Sam Fitzgibbon's quote-unquote boys, at first, I ain't gonna lie, at first I thought this would just be a little bit of a boring scene that we'll just see them hang out and, you know, just basically share drinks. But it was actually something more twisted and dark, but in a good twisted and dark and funny route that actually complements and just completely shows who G.I. Robot as a character is. Because remember, his original programming is to killing Nazis. He actually does not see any fun with doing anything else. So let me actually go back in time to the 1940s with William Magnus, because William Magnus actually asked G.I. Robot the same thing. He asked G.I. Robot, so hypothetically speaking, if your derivative of killing Nazis is out of the picture, what is it you really want? And G.I. Robot, he tells William Magnus, well, what I really want is to be with my boys, be with Sergeant Rock and Easy Company, and killing Nazis. So I like that. I ain't gonna lie, I like that. So when they now go to meet Sam Fitzgibbon's boys, we are actually shocked to see that his boys are white nationalists. His boys are Nazis. They are outright leaders. They are basically the KKK. So G.I. Robot, he sees an opportunity. He sees what he's been waiting for this whole time, and he goes ham. He goes ballistic. He starts to just killing every single person in that room, starting off with Sam Fitzgibbon. He shoots him point blank range at his head. Then he now starts to spin around doing his spin move that he did with the Easy Company and Sergeant Rock back at World War II. He now starts to spin around and killing Nazis, killing every single person, killing 32 people to be exact, which causes G.I. Robot to be arrested and to be tried and to be sentenced to basically life in prison because he killed 32 people. And when he now went into prison, this is where the Easter eggs came in that actually adds more to this world of obscure characters. Because remember, DC, with every Superman character you see, there is a Buana Beast. With every Batman character you see, there is an ambush bug, because DC has many obscure characters. So we see 3 obscure characters. First one we see is Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man. And when I saw him, I was like, what? That's crazy. James Gunn actually really added him. Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man is mostly a Doom Patrol villain. So then we now also see a villain called Crimson Centipede, and Crimson Centipede I don't really know who he is, but I've seen him before. And another villain that we actually also saw was, I think he is an Aquaman villain. He is very obscure. I forgot his name. I'll probably find a picture and put his picture right here. But all of these obscure characters we're seeing, I'm like, damn, that's crazy. They all got arrested alongside G.I. Robot. So G.I. Robot, we now see that throughout the years of his imprisonment, he's getting rusty. Spider webs and cobwebs are just forming on him because he's serving his time in prison. But we now flash back to the current time where G.I. Robot, he is helping to fight these guys. But the creature commandos are getting bombarded. They are getting beaten by everybody. Cersei is just attacking everybody right now. And Rick Flag Sr. now tells G.I. Robot, yes, we are fighting Nazis. We are fighting Nazi G.I. Robot, because G.I. Robot finally asked that question. And G.I. Robot now got happy because, remember, his whole mission is to kill Nazis. And when he now finally sees the opportunity again, he goes crazy. He starts to just shoot everybody, and he now starts to spin around again. The same spin move we see him do, but this time it's different. This time G.I. Robot kills so many people that his systems begin to overload and overheat. But at first I thought it was him about to explode himself, but it was Cersei that exploded G.I. Robot. And this is where my only complaint of the episode comes in, because when we see Cersei come in, we now start to see her fight the creature commandos, specifically Weasel. And I kind of did not like how Weasel easily got the best of Cersei, because Weasel's a nobody. Cersei is a villain that goes toe-to-toe with Wonder Woman on the regular. She beats Wonder Woman a lot of times, so to see Weasel get the best of her, I didn't really like it. But I kind of like that they didn't kill off Cersei just yet. I hope they make Cersei survive so that she can finally face Wonder Woman. And I hope Cersei kills some members of the creature commandos, because it's about time Cersei racks up some bodies. I'll be completely honest with you, James Gunn seems to not miss with knowing how to make unknown characters just feel so heartwarming, making their backstories feels so heartwarming. And when we see G.I. Robot eventually die, because when he exploded, his whole circuit systems basically shut down, and he died at the arms of Nina Mazursky, his new friend. So that was pretty crazy, man. I'm interested in what happens in the next episode. We'll see if Frankenstein comes back. We'll see if Cersei and the fight is basically continuing, because before the episode ended, Cersei tells the creature commandos, you don't know what you have done by not letting me kill Princess Alana. You are basically dooming the world. So I want to see what happens, man. That's the end of the video. What do you guys think of the creature commandos? I'm out. Peace.